Hi, and welcome to another edition of Newsmakers Journal of the Vaccine Year. It is Friday, February 19th, and we have a special mansplaining edition with Josh Molina and Nick Welsh joining in. Thanks, guys, for being with us. So right before we went on, Governor Newsom, Prince Gavin has announced that 10% of California's vaccine supply is going to be directed to educators, to teachers and others, which is kind of a breakthrough. Josh, it was kind of a big deal this week. Karen McBride, the head of the local teachers union, was imploring county public health to vaccinate her members. What do you hear? What's the latest?
Gee, Jerry, I'm glad Delaney's not here and I don't have to wait 22 minutes to be asked a question. So I appreciate you acknowledging me here near the top.
That's why I went first.
Oh my God. Man, mansplaining out the gate. What is that, like male grievance? Is that what it is? Male grievance?
No, I have no problem with Delaney answering first. I'm just pointing out to Jerry his bias here. But so, yes, Karen McBride, the president of the Santa Barbara Teachers Association, and Paul Rooney, who's the president of the comparable staff union at Santa Barbara Unified School District, they sent a strongly worded letter to the county saying, we want to be vaccinated as soon as possible as we are we're being asked to return to teaching. So they sent a letter. They're basically saying, we want to be able to be vaccinated when we start. So please make us a priority. They did note that there was a death of a Santa Barbara Unified School District employee. So far, the district is not told me whether it was a teacher or a staff member or anything at all, citing privacy reasons. So in this letter, they reference that. So it's of utmost importance for them to get the opportunity to be vaccinated at a time when they're asked to go back and teach school children. And of course, the latest news is that about 10% of the vaccine will be set aside for educators. So I guess, there's going to be a little bit of movement there, but I don't think anything is going to happen until early March.
Well, Josh, do you qualify as an educator?
Well, Nick, that depends on who you ask. Yes, I would be in that tier of educators, and we've been told initially we're told mid-February. Now we're told sort of, sometime in March. So yeah, community college instructors would also qualify.
So here's the problem, Nick. I know you think that the folks at County Public Health are just doing a hell of a job. And in fact, there may be some hagiography in it for you down the road, but there's 22,000, and you raise an excellent question asking if Josh qualifies, because the 22,000 quote unquote educators is everybody from Josh to, my grandson's fifth grade teacher. So, how do you kind of rank that? And as I understand it, they don't really have a system for doing that. I mean, what do you think that they'll be able to sort of slice and dice that a little better than they have with the, say 75, 65s and over with comorbidities, just not to bring up that old saw?
Jerry, hypochondria is not a comorbidity, okay? It may work for some people, but it's not going to work for you.
No, here's what has to happen, and I think it will, is so of the 22,000, and I don't know, Josh, maybe you can speak to Goleta Union because I don't know, but there's about 1,500 Santa Barbara Unified teachers and staff workers. And of these, there's about 150 who are 65 and over. And then there's another, I don't know, 100, 200 maybe that are going back to school now with the kids.
Is this like a math problem? Is this like a...
No, I'm saying this shouldn't be so. I mean, they have computers that do stuff like this, right? You don't have the 22,000.
Here's the thing. And, we're trying to figure out how to divide, 40,000 into 3 and see how many are left over so that we can get vaccination. But what's going to happen in a couple of weeks now is Blue Shield is going to take over this. And so whatever sort of salami slice and dice deal that county public health and the locals are trying to work out. Blue Shield, described by some county supervisors as a Death Star corporation, is going to come in and take it over. They have a great computer platform, so conceivably it will be seamless, but nothing is ever seamless. And they have their own algorithms in terms of where the need is. And a lot of health professionals are really worried that when Blue Shield comes in, Santa Barbara County and a lot of southern counties in the state are going to be getting less, not more, vaccines than they currently are. Now, is there any basis to this? Not yet, but we do know the county of Ventura, for example, signed a letter to the state saying, wait a minute, they've got their own algorithms, they've got their own population surges of where the needs are the greatest. It doesn't necessarily conform to, every county getting a slice of, whatever proportional slice.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of questions we don't know, and it won't be seamless.
Yeah. Well, and then Santa Barbara Unified was talking about returning to class on next Friday, a week from today, February 26th. I have a feeling that's going to slip. They haven't got the state exception letter yet. What's going on in Goleta with the school district there?
So Goleta actually won up Santa Barbara Unified, and they decided that they were going to return with a 19-to-1 student to teacher ratio 5 days a week. And so they're going back, and they're going back full force. They talked about we had to take everything out of the classroom. We're going to be pushing desks up against whiteboards, up against the walls. All furniture will be removed, and they're going to go make it work. They're talking now March 8th as their return date. They're ready to go, but they've just recently finished surveying the parents, making them choose whether they're going to return, stay virtual, do a flex program. And March 8th is the goal that they're going to return.
And where are they on vaccines? Did they have? Are they represented by the same union, the teachers?
No, they're in a different union, and they've been much less vocal than Santa Barbara Unified. The vaccination, I think it's a more of an individual basis. A lot of the teachers do want to be vaccinated, but it's less of a big priority, at least publicly. We have not seen any letters, any speaking out during public meetings from their union president. And so it hasn't been much of a part of the conversation as it has been Santa Barbara Unified.
No, but
It's a risk of making a gross overgeneralization. I mean, Goleta Union.
Why stop now?
Yeah, they're younger students, and they're grade school students, and teachers who teach grade school tend to be younger. The students are less infectious. It just seems like it's a less of a pressing issue for them than it is for Santa Barbara, where you have older students and older teachers.
Except that Santa Barbara is only taking back. So is Goleta going to? Are you saying they're not doing a hybrid? They're going to be in class?
No, really? Goleta is doing 5 days a week. They're doing 5 days a week with a 19-to-1 student ratio. And
wow,
it's going to be super intense. And I'm not sending my daughter back with a 19-to-1 ratio. We'll stay Zoom for the rest of the year. It's a lot of unknowns, and I don't know how it's going to work out. And so, but that's what they want to do. So that's their plan.
No, Nick, my only point about public health is it just seems to me that they are strictly a paint by number operation. If you look at Long Beach, where, they just said, we're going to vaccinate the teachers. And they did. They figured out how to do it. They took 12,000. And the vaccination police didn't swoop down from Sacramento and put them on. There's ways to figure this out. And whatever question you ask over there, can you do this? Can you do that? The answer is no. We're 1 foot in front of the other. We're going to do it. And I think, go ahead.
Not to be the lickspittle-lackey of public health.
I stop now.
But they did claim at last week's press conference that they are going to start figuring out how to get vaccines to people who are younger with pre-existing health issues. I mean, all that is sort of rendered moot now, but yeah, I mean, part of the problem is you just don't have enough vaccines to go around. And so, I mean, you can say we're gonna keep bumping people in the front of the line. Look, here's my objective. My objective is I have a son who works at a grocery store, and I'm worried about him. That's it. That's my nepotistic agenda here. And every time I look around, he's being pushed further back, further back, further back. And people who work at grocery stores, they're not alone, but they are exposed to all these people, have to be there to go shopping. And a lot of them are sick. It's only a matter of, what is it, 5,000 people working in grocery stores in Santa Barbara County.
Yeah, did
One
we
has
ever get
died.
to the bottom of the cannabis industry jumping the line or not jumping the line? Gavin putting them at the front of the line?
It's sort of a split the baby in half. Yes, if you are a cannabis retail worker, not like an ag worker, but a retail worker, and you are in a dispensary that is licensed for medicinal. Now, not just, so there are certain dispensaries like Coastal on Chapala Street. They are strictly recreational. They don't have medicinal permits so far as I know. So their workers would not be eligible. But if, they have those medicinal dispensaries out in Goleta that are now recreational as well. Those people who work there would be eligible to get a shot. I know of some people who work in medical, dispensaries who have gotten vaccinated who are like not 30 years old. It happens. Is it thousands of people? I don't think so, but it's still, it's like, really? You're going to let them jump the track over teachers, over grocery workers?
Yeah.
There's a reason people are upset.
Vaccine for bud tenders, not for teachers. That's our motto here.
It's a good
All right.
bumper sticker.
So in other news, Josh, I guess I don't know what stage design of the cop shop of the new police station we are in, but it went to the architectural review board and the reviews weren't great.
Yeah, so this was the second concept review. And so they're sort of looking at it and what they want to do and sort of, what it's going to look like. And the ABR doesn't like it. I guess this is not the ABR. This is the Historic Landmarks.
No, this is ABR.
Oh, this
This
is
is ABR.
That's what you said in your story anyway. So.
Okay, then let's stick with that. Okay, so they think that it's too big for the site. And the way that Brian Cornell has designed it is that he's got a garage on one part of it, and then he's got a police station on the other side of it. And they think that it creates this wall on Coda Street. And they're very concerned about sort of how buildings interface with people on the street and how they interact and the size, bulk, and scale. So they're sort of saying, can we figure out a way to make this less bulky and less or more inviting to people who are walking on the street? And Brian Cornell, the architect, is saying, it's a limited site and we're trying to do the best we can. What's that?
It's a police station. It's not supposed to be inviting, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, and they want it to be like a civic building. They want it to have a nice entrance where people can go and look at it, and the people have to access the administration part of it. But it's not really that. Like, he wants police to enter one side, and he wants the public to enter on another side, and it feels a little bit too separate from each other for some members of the ABR. So this was the second time. It got a little bit better, but he's going to have to come back. That being said, they gave like approval to the concept. Like, yes, this can work on this site. It doesn't violate any of our standards, but we need to keep refining it before we approve anything.
Nick,
Yeah,
Nick,
they did a lot of. Go ahead.
I confess I didn't get all the way through your piece because I try never to read anything that's had the phrase flying balustrades in it, but I did see I did see that there was a picture of the famous Dakota apartment building, the John Lennon building, and what's going on with that?
Oh, see, that's a different ABR sign. That's 711 North Milford
Oh,
Street.
okay, all right. See, I told you I didn't read it. Well, anyway, what was your takeaway on the cop shop?
You know, I think there was no enthusiasm. It was sort of like, oh my God, we have to do this. This is a looming citadel. We don't like looming citadels. They don't like the way it faces Coda Street. It's better than it was before, which was really sort of a very aggressively contemporary and angular and, imposing. And so it's softened it up a bit. But they are not enthusiastic about it, but there is a need for a police station. The existing police station was built in 58. It's built for about 1/3 as many people as they have now. The current function of the department split up into 4 different buildings. The existing building is not seismically safe. So they have to do something. And
So
this is going to be a tough one.
what's the next step? And what was Brian Cornell's thought bubble as he left the meeting?
I think, okay, Brian Cornell is probably the most defining architect in Santa Barbara alive right now. Every other building he has designed, and this is his grand swan song, right? I mean, this is the Puccini aria of his career, and he wants people to like it, and they didn't. And I think his feelings were genuinely hurt. Come on, guys, like it. It wasn't that, but
Yeah.
the next
I
stop
mean,
is the planning commission, and because it's too high for the city's height limit, so they're going to have to get permission from the planning commission to do it, which of course they're going to get.
And ultimately it'll end up before the city council anyway, right?
Right.
All right. And what about the 7-Eleven Milpas building, the Ed St. George Memorial Tower? They didn't like that either, did they? What was the feedback about that one?
It was similar. It's better than it was before, but you still ain't there. This is a building that has attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity, too many moving parts. You made it so complicated as a strategy to try to hide the fact that it's so huge on Milpa Street that I'm gonna have an epileptic seizure just walking by it. That was sort of their take. But they gave him all these mixed messages. One guy says, just make it one big building, okay? And then another one says, make it 3 buildings. And then somebody else says, my favorite was, I want you to go look at the Palace of King Philip II in Madrid and the Dakota Hotel and use that as your, I think you'll get some good ideas from that. And meanwhile, the architect, who is not Brian Cornell, by the way, in this case, it is a guy named Elijah Pierce, who kind of started off his saying, well, I always ask myself, would I want to live here? And he didn't quite say yes, but he kind of said like he thought he would like to think about living there, maybe.
Josh, what was that St. George's thought bubble when he left that?
In my deep perusing of all the agendas for the week, I must have missed that one. It does happen from time to time. So I've not watched the meeting on that, so I don't know. I will say that he probably was not happy. He probably feels like he's got was it a development plan?
He's got the development agreement, right?
Right.
Yeah, and he probably, this was kind of what they were hoping to avoid when they were hashing it out, was having to go back and forth to the ABR to have to deal with all of this. So, eventually he's going to get what he wants. It's going to take a long time and a long process. What I find fascinating and listening to Nick talk about this project and then the police station project is just to some degree how out of touch these board members are, because they have a very specific job, which is, they're looking at the architecture and they're looking at the aesthetics and they're looking at how it fits into Santa Barbara. And most like regular people sort of like on the ground, are not thinking like that. It's just sort of this disconnect. People are thinking we need more housing, we need a police station, make it look nice, but let's not slow the process down. So it's just interesting to look at these boards having this great amount of influence. In some ways, the real battles are waged before it even gets to the council. So this is where the most interesting stuff is happening now.
Yeah. All right. So in the mayor's race, Nick, you had a piece about Kathy's money. What she raised so far, 54 grand, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. I
And
mean,
nobody-
I think, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, all right. And nobody else has reported anything, right, Josh, yet? I mean, I don't, Deborah or James?
Well, I reported Kathy had raised 54,000 2-3 weeks ago, but I guess Nick missed that.
But he hasn't raised any more in the 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know what James Joyce has raised. I don't know what Deborah Shorts has raised. I believe Deborah Shorts has filed some paperwork allegedly, so what I've heard, but I haven't looked at it. I don't know how much she has raised. Kathy's the front runner because she's been raising. She had money carried over. She's, I guess, ready to run a strong campaign, but financially she's the front runner. I don't know about.
But so is this the issue she wants to run on? I have more money than anyone else. I don't understand why that's getting.
No, I think that's just sort of like, she's just trying to flex and like, oh, you think you're so hot coming out with your announcement, James Joyce, and everybody's talking about James Joyce and everybody's talking about Deborah and everybody's talking about everybody who's going to run. I just want to remind you that I am formidable and I got money and I can raise money and I've been here and I'm not a walk in the park and I am going to be somebody you're going to have to fight with. And
No, but
I think
that can cut both ways. So if I'm running against her and I don't have as much money, I would try to flip that and say, yeah, look who the money came from. It came from all these unions that benefited from the PLA and all these Democratic hacks and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could push back. I mean, the other question is, where's the money going to go this time? Are we all still going to be, on Zoom? Is it all going to be waged in the mail? Are people going to go door to door? I mean, I don't know how is the campaign going to happen? Josh,
Lots of mail,
lots of
TV
mail.
commercials. Depending on where
Facebook.
we're at during the election, they'll drop it off or they'll knock on the door and hand it to you. It goes to media. It goes to repetition. Kathy Murillo, Democratic Party if she gets it.
But
Kathy
Kathy's
Murillo.
always won by going door to door. I mean, that's her sort of trademark campaign thing. She's very good at it. She's relentless. She works really hard at doing it. Is that going to be possible? I guess is the question.
Well, they can do drops. They won't be able to stop and talk, but they can go door to door and drop stuff on the doorknob and leave, which is not the same, but it's okay.
Yeah, and I know when we've talked about this previously, we've mentioned Hal Conklin's name, and I did have a chance to talk to him this week, and he said, "Well, I'm not ruling it out, but it's pretty clear to me he's not running." He said he's quote not seeking the office, and it's not high on my priority list with the other thing because obviously he's still trying to recover from the terrible health problems he had last fall. But he was very pumped up about James Joyce. He didn't come out and endorse him, but I guess they work together on a board or something.
Yeah, he and James Joyce and Laura Capps are all on the Capps Foundation board together, and they're very big into the big table on State Street project.
Oh yeah, the common table.
And Hal has never kept his frustration with Kathy a secret, and James is sort of like, who's behind door number 3? He's the interesting one, because we kind of think we know Deborah, whether we do or not. We definitely know Kathy, whether we do or not. James has been, working for Hannah Beth Jackson for all these years. So clearly he knows how to put a Rubik's Cube together. But, how do you translate that to the city of Santa Barbara, and how do you go and convince somebody to vote for you? I think he's going to have a lot of receptive ears.
Well, Josh, it puts I mean, there's some interesting alliances to sort of try to untangle. I mean, both Lois and Laura Capps endorsed Hal when he ran 4 years ago, of course, and so there's that. But then Deborah went out very, very visibly for Laura when she ran against Das. So it sort of puts the the Caps wing of the thing in a little bit of a squeeze, huh?
Yeah, I imagine they'll wait a while to see who gains more momentum and who looks like the more formidable candidate. I don't think they'll go with Deborah just out of pure loyalty. James is the most intriguing of the candidates. So it's February. We kind of need to see how it plays out, who's going to raise money, what they're going to do, and what the actual campaign is going to look like. So I don't know. My sense is that there's a little more buzz and energy around James Joyce's campaign than Deborah's. Again, this is not about pure qualifications. Deborah's very capable, but elections are about likability, and they're about people feeling as though we're headed in a new direction. That's what people want. So people may get behind Deborah, but James is definitely the one who has struck the tone of this is something different. So
yeah, and of course, this we need to remind it's a 5-year term because of the way the city's going to even year elections. So whoever gets elected, we are with for 5 more years. Is this the field, Nick? Do you think anybody else will get in?
Yeah, I was just going to say we should hold our horses a little bit. There's lots of people out there sort of, some people are doing the Hamlet hands ring, and they probably won't jump in, but there invariably going to be some other candidates who do jump in.
That would be Randy Rouse doing the
That would be Randy Rouse, would be my Hamlet. In the sort of Goldilocks, 3 Bears tournament here, I don't know that, I think that there's some other people out there that might want to jump in.
Any names?
Well, the one I keep throwing, no, I don't have any good ones that I can say right now, but,
You can.
I would just say this. I mean, you look at like, okay, the city of Santa Barbara is going to have to cut $5 million for this year because of COVID. The unions are going to have to take $1.4 million shave and a haircut for the raises they're supposed to get. Who is the sort of person who can talk to the unions and the workers and say, everybody's going to have to take a shave and a haircut, and we need you to come together? That is a degree of leadership that we really aren't seeing. We have homeless issues on the street, which, everybody says we don't like them, but nobody wants to put them anywhere. How do we deal with that? And so there is sort of, aside from the insider baseball horse race stuff, there's nobody really talking substantively yet about like how do we handle some of these tough issues.
And Josh, I think we get behind Nick. He's the only one who's talking about the substance of this kind of stuff.
Well, Nick will win by landslide. He'll get 15,000 votes.
He would.
I'll get 500.
No, I think you would actually get. In fact, I would dare say that your name ID is higher than either James Joyce's, unless people are thinking, of the guy who wrote Ulysses, or Deborah Schwartz in this town. Don't you agree, Josh?
I definitely agree, and I know of one newspaper who you can get an endorsement from. So
News off.
I wouldn't hold your breath for that one, Nick.
Well, Newshawk doesn't, of course, famously does not endorse anybody. All right, last thing. You guys are both such shills for the electric bike program. Did either of you go out and try them this week? I guess you're allowed to have a free ride or something now is going on.
I think the SPCAG has their, I forget the name, Easy Bike or something like that. And you are able to test it. And there's 12 bikes out there. You can test ride it and see if you like it. And it's different than the City of Santa Barbara's program. They are free and you get sort of familiar with them. It's their effort to sort of get people to think bike riding is not a barrier. It's something that's easy and simple. Nick rides his bike all around town.
You're too much of an OG to get on the electric bike, I think. Yeah.
I get on the electric bikes, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. And I mean, it's really fun to ride your bike uphill going 27 miles an hour. I mean, that is a cheap thrill. There's just no doubt. But I am too much of old school where I can't quite make the leap.
Yeah, I know. I don't see you. I don't see you with the electric bike, but that's all right. All right. Anybody, wait, Josh, who you got on a podcast?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit old school since we're talking about old school, and I'm going to interview our friend, Mike Eliason.
Great.
We're going to just talk a little bit about our old days when we used to work on stories together at the paper. And obviously his transition in careers and photography. Obviously, he's one of these guys who posts a photo on Instagram. It's got 1,000 likes in a second. So yeah, it'll be a good stroll down memory lane, but also talking about what he brings to this community in his various roles.
Yeah.
I mean, he is such a gift. I mean, his photography, the fact that the news press could not see fit to make him want to stay is just another sin against journalism committed by that paper. He is an exceptional photographer, and the fact that he's making his work available is just
yeah.
amazing.
No, with 35, 40 years, he was the best news photographer I ever worked with, and there were some good guys over there too. But Mike is just a class above. That should be a fun one. Nick, what do you got going? Anything?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm actually looking into speaking of bikes, a few years ago, the city council said we're going to have a west side to east side thoroughfare for bikes that goes through Solar Street. And that sounded pretty good, and lots of fight and everything, but finally worked out. And now that plan has run into the buzzsaw of the Historic Landmarks Committee. And they're saying, no, we don't like your plan is goofy, and we like, it's too damn goofy, and we'd like to fix it up. And they're being told, sorry, dudes, that's not your purview. And nobody likes to be told what their purview is, so they're sort of rebelling. Don't tell me what my purview is. And it's going to go, of course, to the city council for another knockdown, drag out.
Well, that should be good. Bring back Dale Francisco. What is it? Cars for Kids? No, what was the name of it?
Cars for Basic.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever happened to that?
I think they have one member.
Yeah.
And I believe that was the member who spoke in front of the County Board of Supervisors during Black History Month, in which he went off on some racist rant, telling Black people, why are you with the Democratic Party? You're just being used. And it was not a happy moment.
All right. All right, guys, stay safe out there. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much.
All righty. You guys take care too.